Hey everyone, it's Luke here from Astro Awakening. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is my March Astro update for everyone. It's a little late. I've had some technical difficulties. This is my second take of this video. The first one, as I went to upload it, was corrupted, and YouTube wouldn't accept the video. So something wrong with the system, the file. I do record these on Zoom, so maybe it was something going on there. But anyway, here we are, take two. So this is going to be quite a condensed version. The last one was quite long-winded and I had a lot packed into it, but I'm re-recording it. So we're going to just really pack in pack the punch, so to speak. Give you some tips and tricks and techniques and methods to navigate through March. March has been one of those sort of highly anticipated months for 2023 because of the big planetary shifts of Saturn, Jupiter and Mars all changing signs in March. We're not far away from Saturn's transition into Pisces. The first time in around 28, 29 years that Saturn has been in Pisces. So that's going to be an interesting shift of energy. So I'll talk about that in this video, as well as Pluto's long-awaited, anticipated entry into Aquarius and what that's going to mean for the collective. But we're going to have this dance of Pluto and Aquarius and Capricorn over the next 2.5 or so years. So there's this big new beginning that also is tied into the ending of the old. And we can see that when we look out in the world at the moment, in the political landscape, through the media, like there's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of change happening. There's also a lot of flotsam coming to the surface. We also have very, very, very weak leadership. The type of personalities, and we do have personality politics, but the type of personalities that you see that are in so-called the illusion of control in these positions of authority, they're weak characters, very weak characters, especially here in Australia, and I know absolutely in the US. Still beating the old drum of the old system, the old sort of what we call that, the Babylonian system, right? Still banging on that drum. But things are going to change, and they're going to change in a big way. I wouldn't want to be standing close or nearby any particular politicians over the next couple of years, because as this transition takes place, they're not going to be well liked by the collective, that's for sure. So we start this month with the main theme as we move into March is the Jupiter-Chiron conjunction. Chiron is the wound. Chiron is where we're hurt. Chiron is where the archetype, where you have Chiron in your natal chart, is where that archetype, for some reason, has been hurt. And the expression of it, you're sensitive in that area. Maybe you have a difficulty in expressing that aspect of yourself because of the Chiron rune. And often the Chiron rune wound, Jesus, it's currently 5:15 a.m. here in the morning, so I'm just getting started. I've got to warm up a little bit, maybe a bit more choke. The Chiron wound often is something that we've experienced in childhood, where we've either had some significant trauma or an experience that has wounded us, or it's just been we've had a reality, an experience that we've gone through, and just the way in which we were raised, perhaps, or the home family environment, our relationship with our parents and our siblings and those close to us, can cause a sort of wounding within that particular archetype. Currently with Chiron in Aries, the collective sort of wound is around Aries themes of confidence and assertiveness and directness and being able to express your will, to say, this is who I am, this is what I want to do, this is what I think. And it's if you look in the world at the moment, that's quite challenged with regards to that, because there's cancel culture, there's this woke virus that's going around, and it's almost like it's a challenge to really get out there and express your views. And a lot of people, especially people that I've spoken to and be around it, they're just withdrawing quite a bit from that. So we do have with Chiron, though, the wound and the hurt, but we also have potential for the healing that can happen as well. And Jupiter comes into the scene early in March, and Jupiter-Chiron conjunction happening every sort of 13 years-ish. brings this sort of new burst of energy. And Jupiter deals with expansion and growth and the future and optimism and confidence and belief and idealism, and courage and bravery, especially in Aries. And it's like, for a lot of us, the last few years have been quite challenging and difficult. But for a lot of us, it's been the activation of our healing journey. We've realized, okay, we have to go through some healing. For a lot of other people, though, this is the beginning, the new beginning of your healing journey. And on that, it's not a straight road. And it's not just A to B. It's like, you got to go around, you got to go through, you got to go back, you got to go you got to go through all of the healing. You know, the Native American cultures believe that when you heal, when you do your healing, and that healing is to let go and to overcome and to transition and transform. That's to heal. It's not to dismiss or discredit or deny the experience. It's to learn through it. It's to grow through it. It's to take what you've that's benefited you, what good has come out of it, what lessons have come out of it, how have you grown as a result of it, and then it's to release it, to let it go. For a lot of people, this is the new healing journey to go on. This is a big new healing journey. And a lot of other people that are on their journey, it's a point within that pathway where you realize the wound doesn't have to be the insecurity. The wound can be your power. The wound, the hurt that you carry can be your power. Don't hide yourself or your wound. Don't hide that vulnerability. Lead with it. Often when we've been through traumatic or hurtful experiences, they create deep compassion, sympathy, and empathy, and that's a beautiful thing. And often what happens too is that when we're unconscious of the wound, we tend to project it out and see the hurt in others where we're hurt. And then we have this huge desire to want to help them, because in doing so, we're actually unconsciously healing and helping ourselves. So right now, as we're moving through March, two things. If you're beginning your healing journey, have a brave and open heart. There's a lot of support now in this new age, this awakened age, this age of, information, where there's no excuse for ignorance when it comes to healing anymore. Like, what do I do? Well, there is all sorts of people that can support you. There's different modalities. There's stuff that you can watch and listen to. It's like, now we have an opportunity. So no more excuses. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this work. How do you know if you need to heal? Because you're having difficulty in your life. You're having difficulty in your relationships. You're not feeling fulfilled, and you're not living from your heart. You're not able to connect down into the deep heart where you can just find that peace within. And if you're not finding that peace within, then that's an indication that there's some imbalance, and there needs to be the journey of the healing. So begin the journey. For everyone else on their journey, Jupiter-Chiron conjunction, it's like, don't allow the wound or the hurt or whatever it is that you're healing and going through, don't allow that now to determine your value, to determine your identity in a negative way. Be proud of that, right? Now, if we think utopia and idealism, yeah, it would be wonderful if we were all born into love and learn how to love ourselves and love one another and love the earth and take care of each other. But the reality is that humanity has been kept in the dark for a long time, intentionally, systematically, on purpose, kept in the dark, disconnected from the true self, the higher self, disconnected from source energy, lost souls. And when people are lost and when they're disconnected from their heart, from the source, from knowing who they are, when they are, what they are, why they are, right? They do things with not the intent, but they do things to hurt one another, hurt each other. And if you look back through history, and this is where I have a problem with cancel culture, because we shouldn't cancel the past. We should honor the past. We should honor where we were. We should honor the experiences we've gone through. We should honor that that was part of the journey to get here, not to get here and go, oh, well, we're just going to cancel all of that and dismiss all of that. What about the people that are now no longer embodied in human form, the souls that endured the hardship that has gone on in humanity's history? And now it's just like, we don't matter. Well, yeah, they matter. That matters. That's part of our story. That's part of our journey. And as we move with Pluto into Aquarius, we're going to need to awaken. But we don't look back in horror. And we look back and go, wow, like how fortunate are we to have endured that and survived it? And it's wear that with honor, right? Be proud of your history. Don't be denying it and trying to cancel it. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful. We learn from it. We don't have to take the heaviness and the burden. We can learn to let it go. We can forgive one another. We can forgive ourselves. Why? Because we were lost. We were completely lost. You were lost. I was lost. We as a collective have been lost. But we're finding ourselves now. We're finding our connection back to source, back through the heart, connection back to one another in this earth. And as we transition as a collective and do that, massive changes are going to take place here. And so they should. And so they should. So don't allow your hurt, your story, and it's unique. That's what gives you your uniqueness. That's what can create connectedness. It's like, wow, listening to the story, this would be a great time to expand your healing journey by getting in community and sharing stories. Your battle scars, we've all got them. Very, very, very few people have lived a life without hurt, pain, trauma, or wounding. So you're not to blame for what has happened, but you are responsible to overcome it. And like I said, the Native Americans believe that when you heal 7 generations behind and 7 generations ahead. So it's what an honor to be able to do that. What an honor to find your way back to your heart. Because when you do that for your ancestors and you do that for the generations ahead. So be brave, be bold, be courageous, take the leap and dive into. So this Jupiter in Venus is in the mix as well. And Venus shows, and she's really significant when we get to the ingress chart shortly. She's really significant in moving through the equinox and especially the next 3 months. She's really well positioned in the chart in her home sign of Taurus and on the lunar node. And Venus tells us like to come into our heart and to lead. Venus in Aries. Aries is about leadership, right? It's taking the step even if you are first in your family. It's not like, well, mum's not going to heal and dad's not. That doesn't matter. It's not your healing journey isn't about them. It's about you. So be bold, be first, be the leader. What are you leading with? Well, Venus, Aries, Venus, Jupiter, Chiron conjunction as we begin March. Lead with your heart. Lead with your heart open. Be courageous, be bold, be first. Be first to go, you know what? I need to find my way into my heart space. So that's going to take us into the full moon. Like I said, I'm going to condense this session down because this is the second time around for me, and I do have some work to do very soon. So we need to just make sure I can go on some tangents, as you know. But we move into the full moons, 16 degrees Virgo. We're in Pisces season, if you didn't know. We're in the mutable waters of Pisces, very emotional, very unstable, very overwhelming. Just like the ocean, it's such a force, but it's also so tranquil. It can be whipped up in a moment through a storm and be ferocious. It can take life like that and it can give it. It's remarkable. And this is the extreme nature and beautiful sunrises when we do this video of Pisces. Right? So don't lose your grounding and just don't get overwhelmed. I'm going to talk more on the Pisces theme shortly. But there's Virgo full moon. Virgo is Earth. It's mutable Earth, but it's about coming back into practicality, into discernment, into, what do I need to do here? Okay. How do I get grounded? I'm a Virgo and I have a lot of clients that are Pisces because I'm able to just go straight through all of that water and just be like part the sea almost and be like, okay, Pisces, come out of the edges, the peripheral, come out of the extremes here, come out of feeling like you're like, oh, and just find some grounding. So Virgo also, though, is the sign of health and healing. And your emotional Pisces, Virgo health is what's really important. So if we think about Pisces as the ocean, what is the element that churns the ocean? What is the element that creates the instability within the ocean? What creates the waves? Now, this is true for all but one or two of types of experiences. But what churns up the ocean is the wind and the power and the force of the wind blowing in different directions, or a force in one direction, or a cyclone or hurricane whipping up the ocean. Well, wind, right? The wind is the air element. So this is the mind. And Virgo is ruled by Mercury, right? So Mercury rules Gemini. We have Mars in Gemini. Oh my God, it's been draining. So Mercury rules Gemini, Mercury rules Virgo. And in Virgo, it's about refinement of the mind. And when you think about Virgo, we think about focused energy. What are you focusing on? As Saturn moves into Pisces very soon, what you focus on, you're going to manifest from your emotions. You're going to manifest from how you're feeling. And what you're focusing on is going to evoke or reinforce your emotions. So if you're focusing on things that are negative, that are depressive, that are, unstable, that are fear, driven, and you're focusing your energy on that, you're going to stimulate, that wind, that mind, because it's mind is air, remember, the thoughts are air, they're wind. That wind is going to stir up the emotions, just like the ocean, right? The ocean of emotions. So it's like, all right, if I focus my energy, my thoughts, my thinking, all of a sudden Virgos can be very analytical. They can overanalyze, they can overthink, right? They can obsess on things, they can go round and round and round, they can internalize things. But if that wind, that mind is in a particular direction, it's going to whip up the emotions in that area. So this is powerful and good, because if you want to drive your emotions to give you the power, because the ocean has the power, the emotions have the power, it's energy in motion, it's power. You can think thoughts of a particular thing, positive affirmations, positive mindsets, positive thinking, in a particular channeled area, you can really evoke emotions to support what it is that you're trying to achieve. But also the adverse is also true, which is if I'm thinking negative, dark, oh, the world's going to end and what's going to happen and who's going to know, we're going to go to war, and your mind is focused on that. What do you think the ocean, the emotions are going to do? They're going to whip up into a frenzy and be like volatile in that particular area. And as Saturn, at the planet of physical, the god that rules the physical world, as he moves into Pisces, he's going to bring reality. That's what Saturn does. He brings the reality. He's like, well, here's your reality. It's time. You reap what you sow, and this is what you're sowing. So your thoughts going in a particular area, your wind, your mind, the element of air is whipping up. Now, Virgo, what you focus on is what you are going to experience. to understand this even further, let's use the physical body to understand Virgo energy. Virgo rules the intestines, right? So the job of the intestine to extract everything that's good and useful and beneficial from the food that we eat, and then everything that's left is expelled through waste, right? We see on the toilet, poop it out, no good, no good. Body can't use it. It's shit, right? But it takes out the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients of the food. It absorbs them, all the goodness, all the usefulness, all the energy, and then it poops out the rest. So with Virgo, we've got these two elements, and it's a mutable sign, just like Pisces. We've got these two areas. We've got what's good and useful and beneficial, and we've got what isn't. Well, what are you focusing your energy on? If, right, you're looking at all the negative shit, you're going to then be putting energy, wind, mind into that. Your emotions are going to stimulate that. You're going to start feeling that. The mind is then going to look for reasons that I'm feeling this way in my world. And the next is reinforcing. Saturn comes into Pisces. The next thing's you're living that reality. Like you're like Saturn, the Grim Reaper's going, that's your reality, right? If you took a dump in the morning and spent the entire day looking at that dump, at the end of the day, you'd probably feel like shit and wonder why you're feeling shit. And I'd say, well, you're focused on that. That's what you've been staring at. So with Virgo, it's about using the mind to bring it on to what's good, what's useful. Very important at the moment as we look out into the world, because there's a lot of reasons to be distracted and taking your attention, because the matrix system, what it does, how it controls you is it controls your mind, it controls your awareness, it controls what you think and believe and where you look by the information that it provides and the way that it provides it. So there's a lot of a battle over the mind at the moment. And Virgo is that sign that, it's the album cover of the Stairway to Heaven. It's the wizard turned in with his little light of introspection. And he's the powerful wizard and he's turned within, right? Here's the final aspect of this. Calm your mind. Have a meditative practice, especially this month, especially around the full moon, to sit and willfully calm your mind. Visualize through that meditation an ocean that's whipped up into a frenzy, and that your mind, as it centers and aligns and calms itself, which means that the thoughts are no longer, your mind is churning or changing that ocean down into just complete calmness. Have you ever been to a beach where there's normally waves on a day where there's none? And it's just like a little bit of lapping up against the water's edge. And you're like, oh. Or better still, like a big body of water, like a lake, and it's glass. That's your emotional body. When your mind, the wind, the thoughts are aligned, when they're centered. The Sabian symbol for the Virgo full moon, volcanic eruption. It's like, can that fit any more into the theme of what's going on in the world? Holy shit. Because Virgos can be the negative aspect of Virgo is control and needing to have everything worked out. And I have to have all the details. Pisces teaches us to let go, to float, to like I said, I think it was another video here or one of my social media platforms. It was like in an ocean when there's a rip, right, which takes, like it's a rip, it's a channeling of water going back out. So if you're swimming and you get caught in a rip, it can take you right out into the ocean. But what we're taught on the Gold Coast growing up with the beach like this is that when that happens, you just remain calm and, put your hand up and someone will realize you need help and they'll come get you. If you thrash around and fight against the rip, you lose all your energy. You might get some water and the next thing you succumb to the rip. The other thing about a rip is they come back. The water goes out and the water comes back in. So if you remain really calm and just let go, you'll end up back where you started. You'll end up back where you need to be. But you sometimes have to let go. And that's the challenge with Virgo, because Virgo can't let go. Virgo needs to control. Virgo needs it all worked out. A plan. What are we doing here? Why isn't that's not right. Don't do it that way. Why are you doing it that way? Holy cow, Virgo. Cool your jets. Calm your mind. Let go a little bit. So there's this balancing act with these two. But the volcanic eruption of the Sabian symbol is that frustration, right? Virgo can internalize, and blow up. So with this Virgo full moon on the 7th of March, be mindful of that. Be mindful of that. If you're feeling the eruption, do not resist it. Find a way to channel it. Channel that into exercise. Channel into creative activity. Channel it into a hobby, a passion, a sport, some fun. Channel it. Channel it. If you feel like you just go and channel it. Go for a run. Channel the energy. If you and then you blow up, what happens with the volcanic eruption is disaster. So be mindful of that. Saturn moves into Pisces about 2 hours after the full moon. So the full moon is technically on the 7th of March here in Australia, right in the wee hours of the morning. And then as we move into the 8th of March, Saturn moves into Pisces. Like I said, Saturn is going to create reality now from emotions. And we can go through the extremes with the emotions with Pisces. And the natural rulers of Pisces are Jupiter and Neptune, and both are expansive energies. Jupiter expands up using a belief system to the limitation of our Saturn. Our Saturn is like where we allow ourselves to get to. It's the limit. It's like, no, it's like the Jupiterian energy can expand, but only to that limit that we put on ourselves. And that limit usually is, ability or fear-driven. It's where we hold ourselves back. It's a self-imposed limitation. Neptune is outside the sphere of orbit of Saturn. So it's not influenced by Saturn's limitation. So Neptune's expansion goes on. And that element, when you mix that with Pisces energy of the emotions, it's like you have such a huge extreme of emotions. And we're probably going to experience that in our reality. People going through very emotional extremes, the highs and the lows. So again, using that ocean as an analogy, find the center and calm your mind. Be grounded. Saturn is in the sign of boundarylessness, and Saturn is the planet of boundaries. So structure will start to dissolve. Authority will start to dissolve. And as we see that, we're going to see that in our political landscape. They're going to lose control. Now here, when people in positions of power lose power or control, what do they want? They seek more power and control. So it's going to get pretty wild, perhaps, with what they do to try and maintain power and control. That it'll be completely what's the word I'm looking for? Pointless. Nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing will stop what is coming. And we'll talk about that with Pluto into Aquarius. I want to talk about fear. I want to talk about fear because Saturn in Pisces can be the emotion of fear, right? But fear, if we look at the word fear, F-E-A-R, there is an ear in fear. And that's a little clue to how to understand where fear lives within us, right? Fear lives within us. It's a little voice inside your head. It's a little voice inside you. What if someone says, oh, can I go that way? Oh, here comes the sun. Wow. Beautiful sunrise. Real beautiful orange colors. I live on the beach here. For those of you who don't know, I live on the beach and the sun comes up over the water. Lovely. Beautiful. 5:41 a.m. Fear is the voice inside your head. Fear has your ear. Fear has your ear. How do you overcome fear? You choose whether to listen to it or not. Now, fear isn't bad because fear can keep us safe when we need to be. Fear can help us run away from the tiger that's attacking us or step away from the edge we're about to fall off. So fear isn't necessarily a bad thing, but when fear overwhelms, fear can disconnect us from our heart, and we're living then from our fear because we can hear with our ear the fear inside our head. So we've got to realize that it's a voice inside the head, but it's not your voice. It's not the real you. It's not the true you. It's not the sovereign, soul-connected, deep, individuated you. It's not the real you. It's not the higher self. And how do you overcome that fear? You turn down that volume and you fight fear with one emotion, one feeling, and that's love. You fight fear with love. So you love yourself out of that noise, that voice, that here, then you don't listen to that voice unless it's going to do something to protect you. But if it's doing something to stagnate you or keep you stuck or limited and restrict you, and your body then reacting to that fear, you need to turn down the volume. Fear with Saturn in Pisces is probably one of the tools in which they're going to use to maintain control. Emotions and Saturn, so Pisces and Saturn is the emotion of depression. And with Saturn in Pisces, we're doing karmic releasings. We're ending things and letting go. Depression is the inability to let that go. It's holding on to it. Holding on to something from the past that happened to you or that you did. It's holding on to that, and you're carrying that burden, you're carrying that weight, you're carrying that. It's when you carry the weight, when you carry that burden, right? Think of that as you're carrying the blame, the shame, the hurt, the guilt, whatever it is. That energy is your Saturn energy. Saturn's metal is lead. So when you carry your Saturn, when you carry that burden, you're carrying lead. Well, what does lead do? Lead is heavy. And when someone is under a load and it's heavy, they're being depressed. They're being held down. They're being weighted. So with Saturn in Pisces, it's time to loosen the load, to let go of the burden. And we do that by letting it go. Let the past live where it lives. It's in the past. Forgive yourself. Forgive others. That'll free you from this karmic cycle. There will be a lot of karmic endings and undoings. There will be a lot of people that succumb to the load, to the burden. There'll be a lot of people that reach to the end of their soul's journey because they can't carry it any further. Don't be that. Let go. To let go is to surrender, to forgive, to open up the heart, to realize we're all lost. We're all trying to find our way home. And on that journey of lost back to being found, excuse me, we've got to have forgiveness. We've got to have compassion. Pisces is very selfless, very compassionate for others. They're a hard taskmaster on themselves. So self-compassion, forgiveness, let them be the things that you learn through Saturn in Pisces, and lessons are going to be learned. How to have that forgiveness and compassion. If you're getting overwhelmed and the ocean is just churned up and it's like this, it's a time to like, okay, what am I holding on to? What's weighing me down? Right? Because if the ocean of the emotions are getting stirred up and you're being pulled down, all of a sudden I can't breathe. I feel like I can't breathe. Well, let go of what's weighing you down and you will float. And that might mean that when you float, you're still in turmoil, but guess what? I can ride the wave. It's all right. I can breathe. Then I'm okay. I'll be okay. And then you have the ability to take some responsibility to start to work on mastering Saturn themes, the mind, calming the mind down. And all of a sudden, the waters become still and you find peace. Make peace with the past. With Saturn in Pisces for the next 2.5, 3 years, make peace with the past. For some, the karmic train is a coming. Choo-choo-choo. No matter what you do, especially for those over the last 2 years, 3 years that have personally gained intentionally by the complete forcing You know, so let's say that they've gained financially, or they've gained through their, you know, elevation of their status or their career or acclaim or reward. They've gained somehow from the implementation of that dark agenda. Karma's coming, the karma train, and it's a coming. When that train comes, whew, there's nothing that can stop it. There is nothing that can stop it. The 15th and 16th. So this is Saturn moving into Pisces. 15th, I am going to be doing, by the way, I'm not good at self-promotion, but I'm going to be doing next Wednesday evening. I'm going to put the information on my social media. So if you're on YouTube and you don't have social media, then you're going to have to message me directly. But I'm going to be doing a workshop on Saturn. Not only Saturn in Pisces, but Saturn in your natal chart. What it means, your Saturn return, your second Saturn return. How to work with Saturn energy, what it means to become the master. You know, if we think about Star Wars themes, Saturn is the Jedis, because they go through an apprenticeship and they have to become a master. Jupiter would be the Empire, because they deal in more power. More power. So I'm going to be doing a full workshop on Saturn energy, probably a 2-hour workshop. It's going to be very inexpensive, probably $30 to attend. And a 2-hour workshop, I'm going to dive into Saturn in your chart, what it means, how to master it, the lessons that it teaches us, how we go through these initiations, and when it relates to karma, what is it relating to? So more information on that. I'm going to dive right into Saturn in Pisces, what we can expect for Saturn's transition through this whole period of time, and dive right into those themes as well. So if you're interested in that, reach out. On the 15th and 16th of March, we have Mars moving back into, well, Mars is probably before that, probably about the 13th, Mars is going to be moving into its final square to Neptune. And Mars-Neptune squares can be like a loss of direction, a loss of motivation, confusion, delusion, like chaos energy. So 15th, 16th is the peak of this, with the Sun and Neptune together in Pisces making the square to Mars. Well, so the Moon is going to be opposite Mars in Sagittarius. So there's going to be quite a lot of like tension and chaotic energy. And, you know, there could be a lot of things shifting and changing within the world of media and information and stuff like that. There might be a lot of misdirection and a lot of like confusion and a lot of like, look over here, well, over here is doing something different. Deception. So be mindful of that. It is a time to refine your motivations from a more spiritual perspective, and to transcend perhaps your low motivations that want to act from fear, sex, survival, security, power, to move up, you know, and be saying, hang on, am I approaching this situation in my life from my heart, you know, from my head, from my higher realm, or am I approaching it down from my lower realm of like fear or revenge or power? So refining the motivations, refining the way you do things, transcending a little bit, and being challenged to make a change. Like, don't go that way. Mars in Gemini for the last 8 months is the realization that you're either A, driving down the wrong fucking road. In other words, the reality that you're experiencing, the job, the relationship, whatever it is the wrong one, right? Or B, you're going down the right road. You're just in the wrong car. And Mars in Gemini is about the realization of, what is this? What am I going down the wrong road, or am I in the wrong car? And the metaphor is this, right? If it's the wrong road, if it's not right, and you know that now, then Mars in Gemini says, well, what are you going to do about that? Change. Make a change. Okay? Don't go down that road anymore. If you go down the road and it's the wrong road, guess where it's going to lead? Where you don't want to go. It doesn't matter how fast or slow or whatever, it's the wrong way. It's not ready for you. It's not right. So don't go down there. If, though, on the other hand, it's the right road, it's the right job or career or relationship or whatever that is, but you're approaching it from the wrong way. You're either bored with it, or you're complacent, or you're like no longer, you know, having joy in it, then get out of the beat up combi that's doing bloody 20 mile down the autobahn and get in the Ferrari. So in other words, approach that now from a new point of view. Go down there with a new perspective. When you shift your perspective and you start looking at things differently, then your whole reality changes. And all of a sudden you're like, actually, oh, you know what I like about this job? Or I'm going to reconnect, and this is an opportunity to reconnect to my relationship. So Mars and Gemini in that. We've got to have Mars move out of Gemini shortly. I'm going to be mindful of the time because I've got shit to do. So that's happening 15th, 16th. Then we move to the equinox on the 21st. The equinox on the 21st. There is an ingress chart for when the sun moves into Aries, and that becomes the equinox chart. So it's like a birth chart for the next sort of 3-month period until we get to the solstice. Tells us a lot about that period. Obviously, the sun's going to be in Aries. So happy birthday to all you Arians out there. And we're going to have Venus in Taurus on the lunar node for the ingress chart. So what is the spiritual fated way forward as we get this new energy, new beginning, the new year, the astrological new year? Venus in Taurus. That's a really nice placement. She's the heart. She's connecting to what is real in Taurus. What is real? What's tangible? What can I touch? What can I experience? My physical body. So, and my deep value system, you know? And with that Aries, the sun exalted in Aries, it's like the hero's journey. Well, where are you coming from? Where am I coming from? Because you can go out with that willful or arrogant, sort of egotistical, selfish, inconsiderate, sort of dysfunctional aspect of Aries and like, fuck it, I'm just going to blaze a trail and I don't give a shit what destruction. That's not coming from here. Or you can come like that goddess, grounded power, calm and patient, but decisive, direct, confident, courageous, connected to your values. And your values are what give you that foundation. The best way to get your values met in this world is to meet them yourself, is to protect them with some boundaries and be integral to them. You know, that's how you get other people to respect your values, is don't compromise them. Mars is going to be in conjunct Pluto on this ingress chart. So these energies are going to be really challenging to integrate. And as we move into the end of March and April, we're going to have this Mars in conjunct Pluto for probably a few weeks as Pluto moves into Aquarius and Mars moves into Cancer. So the in conjunct's a challenging one because you've got these two energies. It's almost like there's these two beings in one room, but they're completely like different, and you've got to integrate the two. And Mars in Gemini is like, let's go. We've got 50,000 things on the go. We've got the to-do list. What are we going to do? You know, it's like, but Pluto in Capricorn, at the end of Capricorn, is going, hang on, be patient. Structure. What about the rules? You got to have things worked out. You got to have a plan. And Mars Gemini is like, fuck the plan. So you got to balance those two energies. And then what's going to happen is Pluto's going to move into Aquarius, and Mars is going to shortly move after that into Cancer. So they're going to have this Aquarian energy, which is Pluto in Aquarius, is like, let go, detach, objectify, get bigger picture, awaken. And then Mars in Mars in Cancer is now motivated by your emotions and, you know, doing things from a place of feeling. So these two energies are going to need to integrate. I'm just going to create some challenges. Absolutely. For the ingress chart, it's going to be that period where we've got, the way to think about this is that there is like this shift that we're learning how to integrate. And we're not going to know. We're going to have these new energies, and it's going to be a challenge to integrate. We're going to dance between the two. But that's what's happening. We're going to have these two different dynamics at play that are causing us to sort of go, okay, well, how do we work with this? How do we work with this? And it's a transition period as well. So expect volatility and chaos. Now that can put fear into a lot of people because they're like, oh. But how do you deal with chaos? Because nature is chaos. Nature is chaotic. That's how nature creates. It's chaotic. It's not predictable. It's chaos. So when there's chaos energy, you've got to let go with the flow. Don't be rigid. Don't be, restrictive. Don't be controlling. Don't be like, well, it's got to like this. And just be like, hey, wow, okay. I have to adjust now and go this way. The wind blew that way. I've got to turn my sails that way. It's like if you're out in the ocean on a sailing boat, all of a sudden the wind changes. What do? Do you keep the sails in the same position? No, you make the adjustment. So make the adjustments. The moon's going to be in Pisces. By the way, too, that full moon in Virgo is going to be trining Uranus. So not only is that volcanic energy there, but Uranus is the liberator too. We do that through that Virgo element, which is, refinement of the mind coming into the physical body. Pisces moon for the ingress chart. So we're going to be emotionally sensitive. The emotions are going to be very volatile, but also, what's that word? They're going to be influenced, especially by external reality. Okay, which is normal. We're natural, we're human. When things happen, we react emotionally. But make sure with Pisces moon on the ingress chart, you're grounding, that you're really grounded. And grounding isn't just feet on the ground and the earth. Grounding is coming into the physical body, coming into the present moment, coming into the sensory experience, coming into now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, now. That's grounding. Do that in connection to the earth, in connection to your own earth. Do that daily. Have a practice where you can just come down with the chaos and the turmoil and everything that's going on. Just come down. I think we're at the end. I think that's what I wanted to say for this video. Pluto will move into Aquarius on the 24th of March. We have a new moon right on the equinox. New moon in Aries. New moon, Aries equinox, new astrological year, new moon, new beginning. New beginning. So how do you want to lead into this new beginning? How do you want to lead this transition that we're making? For those of you following me and watching my stuff, we are going through this process. This is an irrevocable, irreversible movement now of we're moving that way. As we do, we're going to watch the old system collapse. As it does, it's like the octopus that's been harpooned and it's going to wail and flow its arms around. When Pluto moves into Aquarius, there's going to be information coming to light that's going to be quite chaotic. For a lot of people with going through their awakening with this process is going to be like, what the fuck, right? And then Pluto is going to station and go back into Capricorn. Why? Because we got to go back into the old patriotic system and we've got to deconstruct it. We've got to hold those accountable. We've got to, hold them accountable for their actions and their behavior. And we've got to dismantle this control system. So Pluto going into Aquarius is this awakening process in humanity, and it's irreversible. We've reached tipping point, critical mass. We're not going to all of a sudden go back to sleep. And more and more and more and more people are waking up. And more things happening in the world, and more catalysts for change and growth and triggers for awakening. And Pluto into Aquarius is the evolutionary intent of the collective to awaken. It's going to put challenge on the heart. It's going to put challenge on the Leo area. Right? We've got to balance these two polarities, which is Aquarius, I know, and Leo, I will. I will from where? That knowing? Well, the heart knows. The mind thinks and believes. The heart knows. So it's like, and what's going to happen as we awaken is what happens for everyone that awakens. Is they're really now stepping onto their path of evolution and the transformation and their journey back to their heart, back to love. So when we do that as a collective, that's amazing. It's nothing to be afraid of. But what it means is that old system, that old patriarchal control system, it can't sustain in that reality. right? So a new system has to be birthed. If we think about this as like the age of Pisces, the age of Aquarius, as we're transitioning, are we in the, like, there's a lot of speculation as to exactly when and if that's happening, or has it happened, or, you know, I have a feeling that it's happened, but they've conditioned and controlled our minds so that it has not actually happened. So now it's happening because we're just awakening. And once we get to a certain point, this process is irreversible. How do you alchemize water into air? How do you turn water into air? If you've got water and you want to create air or steam, what do? You put the heat under it and you boil it, right? So things are going to heat up as Pluto moves into Aquarius, right? That's the alchemical process to shift the age. The age, the reset we want to talk about, they want to force their reset. The reset is to reset back into here. That's the great reset. It's not reset into some, you know, economic system. What have we got the economic forum telling us about a reset? Why is it that the health of a country is determined by its economic well-being? You know, GDP, right? All those types of economic indicators are how to determine the wealth and well-being of a country. Why is that the measure? Fuck that. The Great Reset is a reset back into the heart, back into living from the heart, back into love, back into connectedness, back into love of each other and oneself, and back into love of this earth. It isn't an economic thing. It's not like a new currency is going to be the reset. That's what they want to do. So that's what they deal with in that control realm. There's no heart in that. That's not a heart-centered, you know, way to live. That's not creates equality. So there's a great reset. There is a shifting of these ages. The heat's going to turn up. Yeah, it's going to get hotter. Climate's going to change. But that's what it does every day. It changes from morning to noon to night. It's always changing. Change is the whole purpose of life here, is to change. Everything changes. It must change now. If you're clinging to this idea of something we just want to go back to how it was, it's never, ever going back to how it was. The evolutionary intent with Pluto into Aquarius is it's going to change. We have the opportunity, like we've never had before as a collective, as humanity, to come back and reset into this place here and learn how to connect to that. And that should be what's cultivated here. That's what should be taught. That's what should be supported. That's what should be economically supported, is how people connect back to their heart space, right? Imagine that is what they put all their money into, when if there was such a thing as a pandemic and non-vid bullshit, right? Imagine if that was actually, for a moment, just, I know, suspend disbelief and imagine that was real, because it wasn't. It was fake. It's going to come out very soon. The whole thing was a fraud, biggest fraud ever committed over humanity, biggest genocide ever, right? But imagine just for a moment if it was real, the response from heart would have been, wow, community is important, family is important, get out in the sunlight. Hey, we're going to put on free events for everyone to come together. There's going to be dancing, there's going to be music. No, what do? Put a mask on, lock down, jab up, separate yourself from one another, isolation, lock the border. What? Was that here? No, that was fear. That wasn't heart. So we're moving into the heart. The reset is a reset back to here. It's time. Like, what are you waiting for? This month, we start with Jupiter-Chiron. Let's do this. Let's do this. Thanks for watching my video. I'm going to be doing a Saturn workshop. Like I said, if you're interested in that, reach out directly. It's going to be next Wednesday evening online. For anyone all over the world who want to join. If you can't, because of time differences, you can always purchase a ticket and you'll get a copy of the recording. It won't be put anywhere other than those that attend. If you've liked this video, please consider making the thumbs button and hitting the share button and telling your friends, because the more support that you give me, the more I'm able to do this sort of stuff as well. So I do have a busy, hectic life. I do astrology readings, I do past life regressions, I do energy healings. I'm also, you know, quite handy. So I've been doing a lot of renovation, helping my brother who's a builder. So I've got so many things going on. So I'm not able to get on here as much as I'd like to and put as much content, but that can change depending on the support and that I get from you guys. But up until now, it's been amazing. You guys know who you are. I love you very much. And let's fucking do this. That's why we came here. That's why we came here. Right? So peace out.